Did you know that, in the United States alone, more than 2,000 teenagers are currently serving life sentences for serious crimes? These young offenders have been responsible for some of the most unimaginable acts of violence, leaving a trail of devastation that has shattered the lives of their victims and caused irreversible pain for their families. But what causes them to commit such shocking acts of violence? And what happens when these teens are sentenced to life in prison? Do they feel the weight of their crimes, or do they remain defiant? Watch till the end, because in this video we'll reveal the real-life reactions of 10 teenagers facing life sentences, showcasing their shocking, emotional, and sometimes chilling responses to the consequences of their crimes. 10. Remy Cordova. Remy Cordova, at just 17 years old, was involved in the murder of a woman after a minor argument in 2024. What set Cordova apart from the others was his genuine remorse. Unlike many who show indifference, Cordova broke down in tears during his trial, visibly shaken by the consequences of his actions. Despite his apparent sorrow, Cordova faces a life sentence, with the possibility of parole in 40 years. His emotional response serves as a reminder that while some teens may regret their actions, the consequences of their crimes are unchangeable, and their future is forever altered. 9. Cody Legibokov. Known as the Facebook Killer, Cody Legibokov committed the gruesome murders of 3 women and a teenage girl at the age of 19. Throughout the trial, his face remained cold and indifferent. Even as the evidence mounted against him, there was no sign of guilt or remorse. His lack of emotion was striking, almost as if he couldn't comprehend the weight of his actions. Legibokov's lack of reaction to his life sentence with no possibility of parole raised chilling concerns about whether he would ever come to terms with the enormity of his crimes or whether he simply didn't care. 8. James Fairweather. James Fairweather, just 15 years old, went on a killing spree, randomly targeting 2 victims. His motives were unclear, and when he was apprehended, he showed no remorse. Fairweather sat silently during his trial, with a blank expression on his face. His inability to feel or express regret left a lasting impression on the courtroom. At such a young age, his total lack of empathy and emotional response was disturbing. He was sentenced to life with a minimum term of 27 years. But it left everyone questioning whether someone so young could ever truly understand the devastation they caused. 7th, Boy A and Boy B. In Ireland, the 2019 murder of 14-year-old Anna Kriegel left the country in shock. 2 young teenagers, both 13 and 14 years old, lured Anna into a secluded area and brutally attacked her. Throughout the trial, Boy A and Boy B remained eerily cold. Their complete lack of remorse or understanding of their crime was unsettling. Sentenced to life with review periods of 12 and 8 years respectively, their responses raised questions about whether someone so young could ever fully comprehend the consequences of such a horrifying act. Their indifference to Anna's death was a tragic display of how cold and detached some young offenders can be. 6. Denali Bramer. In 2024, Denali Bramer, only 18 years old, participated in the cold-blooded murder of her best friend, driven by financial gain. When the trial concluded, Bramer's reaction stunned many. She showed no emotion whatsoever. Despite the horrific nature of the crime, there was no visible sorrow, guilt, or remorse on her face. Her emotional detachment was shocking, especially considering the victim was someone she once called a friend. Bramer's behavior left a chilling reminder of how some individuals, particularly young offenders, can become completely desensitized to the damage they've caused. 5. Montario Taylor and Andrew Charnecki. In 2025, Montario Taylor and Andrew Charnecki, both in their late teens, were convicted of murder. Throughout the trial, they expressed remorse for their actions, yet it seemed to have little impact on the outcome of their case. The court sentenced them to life in prison. However, an unexpected legal twist occurred when the Michigan Supreme Court ruled that mandatory life sentences without parole for those aged 19 and 20 were unconstitutional. Despite their visible regret, their remorse did not change the course of their fate. This case underscores the complexities of youth sentencing and the role the justice system plays in deciding the future of young offenders, even when genuine emotion is displayed. 4. Axel Rudakabana. When Axel Rudakabana, just shy of 18, committed a mass stabbing at a dance class, he ended 3 lives in a violent act that shocked everyone. However, What stood out during his trial wasn't the horror of the crime itself, but his lack of any emotional response. As the judge read out his life sentence with a minimum term of 52 years, Axel sat there, expressionless, with no visible regret. His demeanor was as cold as his actions. This unsettling indifference led many to wonder, how can someone so young commit such a brutal act and not show the slightest trace of remorse? Is it emotional numbness, or is there something more troubling at play in his psyche? 3. Thomas Griffiths. A tragic act of passion unfolded in 2019 when 17-year-old Thomas Griffiths murdered his ex-girlfriend, Ellie Gould, after a breakup. Consumed by jealousy and anger, Griffiths ended Ellie's life with a single brutal stab. However, what followed was a striking contrast. During the trial, Griffiths showed deep remorse. He broke down in tears as the victim's family spoke of their heartbreak. While his emotional response seemed genuine, it raised a significant question. Was his sorrow born from a true understanding of his actions? Or was it merely a reaction to the fact that his life too was effectively over? His tears seemed to speak to both the anguish of the crime and the devastation that would follow him for the rest of his life. 2. Nicholas Prosper. At just 18, Nicholas Prosper committed an unspeakable act of violence, murdering his mother and 2 younger siblings with a shotgun and knife. The scene was horrific, but what was even more chilling was the way he responded to the court's decision. Prosper showed no emotion, his face devoid of any guilt or regret. His coldness left an eerie silence in the courtroom. When the judge sentenced him to life with a minimum of 49 years, Prosper didn't flinch. His emotional detachment raises deep concerns about the psyche of someone so young, capable of such brutal acts without seemingly any remorse. 1. Scarlett Jenkinson and Eddie Ratcliffe. In February 2023, 2 16-year-olds from the UK, Scarlett Jenkinson and Eddie Ratcliffe, took part in one of the most shocking murders. They targeted 16-year-old transgender girl Brianna Gay, luring her into a park and savagely stabbing her 28 times. The brutality of the crime was only made worse by the complete lack of emotion shown by the killers during their trial. When the judge delivered Scarlett's life sentence with a minimum of 22 years, her face remained unchanged, while Eddie Ratcliffe, just as detached, showed no remorse whatsoever. Despite the gravity of the crime, these young offenders didn't seem to grasp the extent of the devastation they had caused. Their actions left everyone questioning whether they could ever truly feel the weight of the consequences. These cases are complex. Teenagers who commit murder often find themselves caught between being victims of their circumstances and perpetrators of horrific acts. Their reactions range from cold detachment to remorse, but one thing is certain: their lives are forever changed. We must rethink how youth, mental health, and the justice system shape these outcomes. If you found this video eye-opening, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Press the bell icon so you never miss an update.